Hey YouTube, it's me, Jen, your pudgy picker,
And Kim.
and we are here again for another episode of Two Sisters.
One booth.
So today we're on podcast number 11. Can you believe it?
I know, it just seems like only 10 ago that we started.
Yeah, that's about right. So today our topic, and you probably read it in the title, is something that you hear or feel often. Why are my sales slow?
You know, I understand the question, especially for new people, but I get so aggravated hearing it over and over again.
Yeah, either if you're selling on eBay or if you're selling in a booth in a physical space, or if you do Bonanza or any of those other, or Etsy, you are going to have slow season.
Yes, you are.
And speaking of slow seasons, we are in one.
Yep.
So a slow season is summer. And that's true for even the big retailers. So Walmart and everybody else.
I was just going to say
Yeah.
that. Yep.
So you are not special if your sales are slow.
Nope. You're fit right in with the rest of
Yeah,
us.
even the big boys are, having a little bit of a problem this time of year. And there could be a lot of reasons for that. And I think the weather's good. People want to be outside. So they're not thinking about shopping. They want to be out doing stuff in their yard.
Now, I think about it, too, for like even TV shows. When do the new seasons start?
In
At
the
the
fall.
end of summer. Because everybody's sitting at home, it's getting cold, and the ball games are over, and, all of this stuff for school starting, and you're home more. In the summer, where is everybody? You're not home.
Yeah.
So you watch
Well,
reruns.
Plus you got, you have graduation parties, people graduating, you have weddings, you have...
Vacations.
Yeah, vacation because the kids are out of school.
Yep,
So
swimming
you're, yeah, you're
parties.
running the kids everywhere. So summer is definitely...
Who wants to be inside?
Yeah.
Well, other than you and your air conditioning.
I have work to do. If you think about it too, it's the summer being slow is something that if you've been in this business more than a year,
Yes.
it happens every year.
Yep.
So there's, that is something that everyone has to kind of, expect. And with me, I look at this as the season where I need to be out there acquiring more stuff to get me through, the year. A lot of things that I buy garage selling, I set aside, and then they go out as the year goes on, and I try to have enough between what I bought in the summer and thrift store buying. Between the two, I have enough to get me through until the next garage sale season.
But it's hard to do that because you get in all this good stuff and it's like, oh, I want to go put this out.
Yep.
And you get up there and it's like, there's no room to put anything out.
Oh, I know. I know.
You should have saw her today walking around the booth with what kind of it was a skull of some sort with little horns.
Yeah.
She's walking in circles. I'm like, what are you doing? I have to find a place to hang this.
Yeah, because a lot of things you can hang or you can have them sitting on the floor leaning against the wall. This was like a skull with the horns on it. It was a ceramic. And I'm like, this has to be hung up.
Well, that's what got me looking at you because I didn't see at first what it was. But you're like, I have to find a place to hang this up. I'm like, oh, here she goes. And then you said, this
that's what
can't.
you
Yeah.
say.
Then this has to be on. I cannot set it down anywhere. This has to be on the wall. So then I'm curious, what in the world is it
I
so
must
important?
see.
Yeah, but she found a spot.
See, was I right? That had to be hung up.
But what happened to the other sign you took down?
I brought it back home.
Oh, okay.
Because it's big enough that I always try to have things to hang on the wall, like a little stash of them underneath one of our shelves, so that when you go in and there's a bare spot on the wall, you can take something out and immediately hang it up. So we don't have, I got to bring in something next week, and then there's this valuable real estate with nothing in it.
Because we've done that.
Yeah, so we don't do that anymore.
No.
So yeah, and it's funny because every time I go in there, I say it's like trying to stuff 5 pounds or 10 pounds into a 5-pound sack, and that's what it feels like.
Well, when I came walking in, you got there before me today because I had to make a stop on my way over. And when I came walking in, one of the ladies was acting as a greeter. looked at me and said, "You guys need a bigger booth." I'm like, "Hush your mouth."
Yeah, bite your
No.
tongue. So yeah, because you're used to certain seasons things selling fast, and you bring in a cart full of stuff.
Yep.
And you got plenty of room, and there's empty spaces. Now I come in and I set something down and I move something else. So I always still have one thing in my hand, and then I pick up something else, set it down. I still have something in my hand, and it's like,
You must have sold some washcloths because I ended up redoing that whole section. There was like a handful of them missing.
you can always tell when people are digging through stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's good though. When stuff's
stuff.
messy, that means people are digging around.
Hey,
So
you always need something to clean with, whether it's
Yeah.
you or dishes.
yep. So I guess that's the main reason I would say, just because we're in it now. That's why it came to mind. I'm like, summer slump. It's a summer slump. So yeah. So I consider this, like a squirrel. I'm gathering up stuff to stow away to last me through winter.
But with it being, obviously it's summer slump, but this is the time of year where even though your sales may be slow, it is the best time to reevaluate what you got going, to reevaluate pricing, maybe take the time to sort through and pull stuff that's been there a while because you're not in such a rush to refill because stuff's they're selling and you've got people in the booth. And so now is a good time for you. Just like on eBay, you slow down and that's when you go through and check all your stock and make sure your inventory is correct and blah, blah, blah. And it's the same thing with your booth. It's a good time to go in there and reevaluate your booth.
Yes, that's very true. And I know we have periodic times to go in and restock or to change things on days that the store is not open. And we've been talking about redoing a few shelves in our space. So that's something that I don't think we could do. There's customers
Well, I
there.
was gonna say, there's
Yeah.
a time for everything, and right now is the time to do something where you don't have as much foot traffic.
Yeah, in fact, I think of our old place, never did restocking days.
No.
You had to put in your stuff or rearrange your stuff or, take stuff out or whatever. It had to be during business hours. So you could get there an hour before the store opened. You could stay maybe a half an hour after the store closed. But if you were going to be doing any major moving, like when we moved
Ugh.
from a single to a double space, I mean, we're practically running over customers in the aisle.
I still can't believe we did that in a day. That was amazing.
Yeah. We had a game plan, and when we went in, we knew what we were doing. By the end of the day, we were just like, we were dead on our feet.
They had to use the carts to get us out to our car.
That's about it. I had just about had enough.
But I think we did real good for that.
Yeah.
But that's another time to talk about that.
Yeah, we should do that about upgrading or downgrade. That's a good idea. We'll have to write that down for a future podcast. So summer slump, everybody has it, no matter who you are. Just keep that in mind. This is like we talked about eBay. It's a good time to kind of, keep listing. So, this is an active time, even though the sales have slowed down. That means we should be spending more of our energy on other ways to continue to build it up and to keep it ready. I guess another thing I thought of too is your prices are too high.
Yep.
So I guess when you come into a situation where you have a booth, we have a lady across the aisle from us that when she came in, I told her prices were a little too low.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Oh, do you think?" And I said, "Yeah." Because I was tempted to buy her stuff, and if I'm tempted to buy it, it's pretty cheap.
Yeah. She must have been handing it out at the door.
That's about it. So I kind of do glance over there because she has neat taste. But it's one of those where you look, and I was like, wow, your price, you need to come up a little bit. And so some people, their prices are like, I mean, I'll look in there, I'll look in a booth, and I'll look at the price, and I'll go, oh, Kiv's like, what, how much? You just never know what's in somebody's mind. I mean, if you go into Walmart, you can pretty much guess the prices of clothes and the prices of plastic bins or cans of food. I mean, but in there, you have literally over 100 vendors, and everybody has their own idea about pricing.
Yep.
So there's some things you can find and it's got like $1 on it and you're like, what?
Mm-hmm.
And then other stuff you're like, you have got to be on drugs
Yeah,
to expect that price
yeah.
for that.
On eBay, you watch something because you're like, that ain't never going to sell at the price. This one, you keep walking through to see if it's sold.
Yeah.
Because you're never going to sell it at that price.
Yeah, and sometimes if I'm up front, if it's a day I'm working and I see, a little piece of furniture or something cute come through, I'll say, ooh, how much was that?
Mm-hmm.
I'm always keeping an eye on that. So if you're interested in wondering what other prices, you can walk around and you can also be up front by the registers.
Yes,
And
I learn a lot
what's
up front.
going through, yeah.
And I'm shocked at some of the low prices that go through.
Yeah.
See, we've talked about how we can influence the sales of others and others can influence the sales with us. And if I know a lot of people just try to get rid of things, but I think they're like, when you're not used to selling in this kind of a venue, you think your prices are a step up from what you would sell at a garage sale, but they're still not where they should be.
Yeah.
For the rest of us,
And if you do sell on eBay, or even if you don't, do not be the kind of person that puts something in your booth and prints out, look what somebody's asking for on eBay, so you should be happy I cut $20 off.
If I ever see one of those, I will rip it off and give it to you personally.
That drives me crazy. Garage sales, too, when people say, oh, those are going for a lot on eBay. I'm like, then I always say, you should sell it on eBay then.
Yep.
Because, everybody knows if you don't sell on eBay, you have a list of things that have sold and things that are listed, and somebody wants 3 times as much as the other person. I mean, you could slap any price or print anything off and say, look, somebody's paying $150. No, they're not paying $150 for that.
Well, they might be paying $150 for it, but it may be special limited edition, special numbering, signed by the person, brand new, never opened, never a human breath touching it. There could be a lot of things influencing that
Hermetically
price.
sealed.
Yes, and then yours has been played with and half the stuff's missing off. It's chipped, broken. So, yeah, there's a lot to consider in that.
So when you see that, I know, because whenever my son that goes garage sale with me, he's like, oh, there's eBay papers on stuff. I'm like, ugh. So, yeah. So you have to really consider your pricing. And we're going to do another video, another podcast, I should say, on pricing your items. But if your prices are too high, if things are sitting continually and not just this time of year, then you need to really kind of consider your prices and think, am I overreaching by asking a lot for this? Mm-hmm. I mean, I do a lot of research on eBay. Since I sell on eBay and I sell at the booth, that gives me an opportunity to look up the item to decide whether I want to sell it on eBay or not. And depending on how it's doing on there or the difficulty it would be in shipping the item, that kind of gives me an idea what I can sell it for up there.
Yeah, but that brings to mind the old saying, too, don't be in a rush to race to the bottom.
Yeah.
I said bottom if you didn't hear that when she coughed on me.
Sorry.
Yeah, so you don't always want to be some people are like, well, she's got it for this price. If I give it to this price, people want to buy it, so I can hurry up and get it out of here and move on to something else and undercut, other vendors' pricing. But don't cut yourself short. It's worth the money. Just make it the right amount of money.
And it's not saying that you shouldn't have a high price on something. If you know what you have and you know what it's worth, then you need to be asking, that price for it. If it's something you don't see every day, or it's something that you've seen occasionally, but it's in a condition that demands a higher price. So we're not telling you, mark everything cheap in your booth. It's just you have to consider, the area that you're in, and you have to consider what other people are asking. If you go in there and your booth, everything's sky high, there's, over 100 vendors in there. There's lots of other people to choose from. Mm-hmm. So you have to be competitive, to some extent. But some people just overall seem to be pretty high. I think in our old place, we would go in and there would be somebody new moving in, and you'd look at their prices and you'd go,
you'd laugh.
They're not going to last.
No.
If they don't lower their prices, they're not going to last. And 9 times out of 10, they didn't. They didn't last, because you go in and say this stuff is worth $50 to $100, and if it isn't, people aren't going to buy it.
Well, we've
So
said before that it's only worth what someone's willing to pay for it.
Dad always said that. That's true. So that's the point. You can go in there and think, everything you have should demand a high price, but if 99% of the shoppers don't agree,
Yep.
you're going to end up taking that stuff home and you're not going to be making any money, let alone your rent or anything else. So,
Yep.
yeah, that's something you have to consider, and you really have to walk around and, see what other people are asking. I mean, if we had a shop in New York City, you're going to you can demand outrageous prices.
Yes.
Or if you're in a little boutique in San Francisco or San Diego or something, but, a little, northeastern Ohio, I mean, you're not going to get New York prices. It's just, you could have the exact same thing and it's
Exactly.
not, going to pull that, because you have a whole different clientele. Even our old place and our new place that are in the same county, a half an hour apart, they are night and day
Worlds
as to
apart.
who buys there. So that's what you got to consider as your prices. This is kind of a harsh thing to think of, but maybe you have things that nobody wants.
Yeah.
If you're getting rid of stuff because you don't like it and it's out of style, but it's not old enough to really be any kind of collectors. If you don't want it, then maybe somebody else doesn't want it either.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
There's certain time frames that still haven't come back around yet, and you have to be aware of those.
yeah.
I still think every time we talk about it, I think of things that were decorator items with these geese on everything.
Oh my god.
The ducks or whatever they are, ducks
Yeah.
or geese. And that stuff, you just, I mean, those home interior shows and all of those for a long time, everything had a goose with a hat and a ribbon.
And blue, and it was like that cornflower
yes.
blue. Yeah.
No, that stuff's either
I don't
throw
think I'm
it
ready
away
for that
or
to come back.
no, me neither. Or pack it away. My son and I were talking about these spinners that everybody's crazy over now.
Yeah.
And you can find them everywhere. And he even said, well, I could just see those are going to be dying out soon. I said, right now, if you had a place for storage, these are one of those items you buy a case of and just put them away in an attic somewhere for like 20 years. And then in 20 years, it'll be worth $1 million.
Yeah, everything has, a lot of these things have only a certain shelf life.
Yes.
But you know what? I'm not above riding a wave if it's
it's profitable.
I can tell you, and I'm
Yes,
gonna
you
attest. I have my right hand in the air. I made redneck wine glasses. Yes, I did, and I sold them for $8 a piece. Thank you very much.
You sure did.
And you got to a point where nobody wanted them anymore, and
because
I said,
you could go into the dollar store and they had them there for $1.
Well,
that's when you know you got to give it up.
So I mean, I printed my own labels, like how to wash them and stuff. And then I put it on with like raffia on top. Mm-hmm. And I took the little cutout of how you took care of it, and I cut out little pieces of cardboard for the label and stuck it on there. It was so cute. But
it was adorable.
The point is, I'm not above, riding a fad if it's going to make me a few bucks. But
yep.
like anything else, it's going to crest and then it goes away, and then there you are. So
like the Lake Erie shoreline, it just
erodes. There's, and it's funny because there's even in few cities around here, including the one we're in now, that there's people like with a tent set up on the side of the road selling them.
Yes.
So I mean, you talk about jumping on the bandwagon. The bandwagon's pretty full of people.
Most of them are really chintzy, but that's beside the point, too.
Yeah. So,
like, we spin, break. Okay, let's go get another one for $3.
Let's go buy another one. So, you got to think about, your merchandise. Is it really stuff that people want? So, keep an eye, like I said, what's in other people's booths. We're not saying to copy them, but we're just saying to get a rough idea of styles that sell.
Yep.
Something else that I just thought of that would fit in this is you have a very limited type of item or type of decorating scheme. Like if you have a booth and it has like all primitive stuff, mm-hmm. or all of it is a certain type of item,
style or age,
that's going to slow you up as well, and that's going to, because not everyone's interested in that.
Yeah.
And that's going to be difficult.
There now, don't get us wrong. There is a very slim percentage, and again, it depends on where you live and your clientele. So, I mean, in some places, and the place we used to be in, there Primitive does fantastic out there.
Yeah.
There's everybody and their brothers got Primitive somewhere in their booth, but out at the place we're at now, it's just yeah.
Yeah.
You get I think there's like one person I can think of that has a decent amount of that in with other things, and I still
Yeah.
see it. I go through it goes through the register now and then because there's a possibility,
But that's, I mean,
but
just
it's very slim.
even
It
if you
narrows it
have
down.
something that's very popular style, if that's all you have, not everybody is into a certain type.
Yep.
In fact, in our old space, our old mall, we were out there a couple of months ago, and somebody that was across the aisle from basically where we used to be had the, you know where I'm going.
Yep. Yep.
We're like two halves of the same brain.
Ooh.
She had glass cookie jars and had the cutout like lids that were like wood, the real chunky wood,
Yes.
and then painted with different, pictures
Like
or
bears and
Yeah.
just every variety.
That's all they had.
They had a booth and a half of that. Remember, because next to us they took up that one booth.
See, I don't know. That's just
I don't know how long they were there, but that was about the time we were getting ready to leave. And then I know within a short period of time when we went back, they weren't there anymore.
So I think people just get stuck in their mind, this is what I'm going to sell. And it's almost, they just can't even bear the thought of opening up and selling different items. And
Yeah.
you go in and you say, this is what I'm going to sell and this is what people are going to buy. And then they don't buy it. There's this great, now what do I do?
Well, and we've talked about that in the past with, when you decide when it's time to close a booth, we talked about the jewelry that you had. And it was beautiful. Beautiful jewelry, beautiful setup, but it just wasn't selling. So,
Yeah. So you figure if you have, a booth that's like with the jewelry. I mean, a lot of people do good if it's vintagey jewelry or
Yes.
whatever.
Brooches
But I'm
and-
saying I found in my own personal experience that mainly it's women that buy it.
yeah.
And not every woman wears jewelry.
Yeah. It was newer costume, I would say.
Yeah.
Because I know that when we talked about this on a previous podcast, a couple of people are saying, well, we have jewelry and it does real well, but it's real jewelry or older jewelry and collector pieces, and yeah, you have a market for that. But the stuff you had was pretty, and it was priced very well.
Yeah. I just think when you have a specific item, a specific style, and that's all you have,
It narrows it down.
it does narrow it down. So we're not saying that won't sell or that you might not be successful, but you're definitely increasing your odds when you have a variety that appeals to different people.
Yes.
So, I guess the next item I'm thinking of is that your booth is stagnant, and that's a big problem. Yes.
Yes.
She opened her mouth, so I was like waiting to say she's going to speak.
Something awesome was going to come out of my brain, but stale inventory, stale from not being moved around, just stuff that's been sitting for a while because it's like I'm just waiting for. It's been 2 years, but I know any minute
That right person's going to walk in the door
gonna-
any second.
and they're going to be so excited, and it doesn't happen. So you need, just in the past talked about moving stuff around. This is a good time because things are slow. Take a look at it. Maybe it's gotten bumped or chipped or damaged and you weren't aware of it, and that's why it's not selling, because people have a tendency to kind of hide things away or not tell you that anything's wrong with it.
Or if you still have the price tag from the thrift store. I don't know how many times I've picked something up and I'm like, this is so awesome. I don't know why nobody's buying it. And you have to know that people are buying things from thrift stores,
Yeah.
estate sales.
Yeah.
But to pick it up and it says $18 and there's a $3 tag on it,
Yeah.
ticks you off a little bit.
I guess it does.
And that's happened more than once. I'm like,
Yes.
still can't believe this is here. Oh, look on the bottom. There's the thrift store tag,
Yeah.
or there's a $3, tag from the garage sale.
You don't know how many times, because I run the register when I work, and how many times people come up and say, "Well, it's got that price on it."
Yeah.
No.
There was a booth. I think it was a couple down from us across the aisle, and there was they had like bags of stuff, and one was like walnuts or different things you could decorate with, and he had put put the store price tag over the tag. Now that's fine because you pick it up and you go, okay, I'm going to pay for this, and then you get it up front, and Kim's at the register and she peels that sticker off, and there's a $3 garage sale sticker under there. That can be an uncomfortable moment.
Yes, it can.
So yeah, I mean, consider that. You got to think about those things. So, and you know what? No matter how careful you are, sometimes stuff's just gonna.
It does.
It's just gonna get
How
through.
careful are you? And when I help you put your stuff out, I'm like, Jenny?
I know.
Jen?
I always look at the stuff. I take the price tag off and then I reprice it. But I don't know. Sometimes stuff just it gets past you. Well, you consider how many items do we have out there? We literally have thousands of items out there.
Probably.
And even if you only forget 1% or 0.5%, that's still a decent handful of stuff out there.
I know it's on but off topic. It's talking about leaving stickers on things. Do you know how many things I've picked up in other booths? And certain thrift stores use those, what do they call them? Wax China markers.
Yes, I hate those.
And so people don't know how to get that off of things. So they leave it on there. So again, you're looking at something's $10, $12, $15, and you see $1.15 on the box because they have weird pricing in those stores.
Or $1.11 or $2.21.
Yeah, because they have odd numbers. And it's like, really?
I don't think we really have a place around here. I know there's a couple places in Columbus and different places I've been.
Well, I was going to say,
we used to have that. We used to have that one not too far from me that burned down.
Yeah, well, that one that had moved like 5 times by now, but yeah.
So yeah,
same kind of thing. Figure out how to get the price tag off, or price it at that, because it's going to sit there.
That's funny. That's really funny. So yeah, I mean, that's something you got to consider. I don't know what it is. Like I said, people know you're not buying this stuff new because they know it's old and vintage or used. But I don't know. It's just again. This mental thing of, oh, so you paid $3 and now you want to charge me $18? I don't think so.
It's perception again. Yeah. We've talked many, many times about perception. And that's exactly what it is. It's the perception of value to them when they see what you paid for it. Yeah.
So, just talking about the booth being stagnant, you need to move things around. People, there's been times where you know what, I'm going to move this over here, but I'm going to be taking that home soon, and it sells.
Yep.
So, if you look in a booth and no matter how beautiful you set it up, there's going to be prime areas that you see first that look most appealing, and then there's going to be an area that you don't see so well. Or there's a bottom shelf that's, it's not as easy to look at the items as it is ones that are eye level. So everybody has certain spaces in their booth that are prime selling, and then there's other ones that's kind of like, me and you would dig around and look, but not everybody does that. They'll glance from the aisle, or they'll step in and kind of look up and down, but it's mainly eye level.
Well, yeah, and especially if the merchandise doesn't move a lot. If the majority of the booth is still the same, it doesn't even want to draw you in to look around, because it's like, oh, it looks like it did last week and last month and last year. So it doesn't matter, prime real estate or not, you got to move stuff around. And everyone that we work with, we always say the same thing. They'll say, man, I just came in on so-and-so and I moved this stuff around and it's sold already. Well, there you go.
Yep, that's
gains the attention.
A big thing to do. It's and it seems so simple that you'd think, well, why would that even work? But
it does.
It does.
Time and time again.
So,
well, I'm thinking one of the things that you want to keep in mind too, if you're slow, is think about your own buying right now. What kind of stores are you going into? What kind of items are you looking to buy this time of year? Obviously, it's summer, so stuff to decorate your yard with or your table because you're going to have picnics or company. If you have an enclosed porch, things to decorate because you're going to be sitting out there, in the evenings having your little glass of wine. So think about those kind of things, and that's maybe concentrate a little bit on more of that up front and that too to draw attention to what people are looking for this time of year.
Yeah, we have our glass display up front that we change out and try and keep that, fresh and relevant and seasonal. So right now we have, summer items. We have like pretty wine glasses that, are painted or hors d'oeuvres. What you're gonna, little plates you're gonna put stuff on, or cute little things that you could put on like a tea light, or, some kind of, I have some bottle openers that look like little flip-flops. Mm-hmm. Just little, stuff like that that's seasonal, or signs that say stuff about wine or, spring or summer, or backdoor guests are best, or any of that kind of stuff.
Because people are decorating their outdoor spaces right now. So they're always looking for something fresh and new for this year's porch theme.
And the colors we have up there, are just, springy and bright and polka dot and just really appealing to look at. So that is something definitely.
Yeah, I'm looking for pink flamingo stuff.
There you go. I'll have to give them my post office box. You can send Kim flamingos. Oh, could you imagine?
Oh,
ooh.
Yeah.
So, no, we won't do that. So, yeah, keep it moving. Keep it looking different. That's what you have to do. And a lot of people that shop at our mall, they're there every week, or they're there every other week. So these are people who are coming back. So the amount of people who are always there or always shopping there are repeat customers.
A lot
and
of
if
them
your
are.
booth looks the same every week, they're not going to even bother to step in. So if you got something amazing in the back and you are not moving it around, then people are not even going to get that far. They're not even going to step in off the aisle.
Yeah, I think too, wherever your booth is, think about where it is in the store, and then think about what is the main flow of traffic when they come in. Are they always coming in, and so they're always going to see the left side of your booth before they get in front of it? Are they coming from the direction where they're always going to see the right side of your booth? And if you even take just that wall, that front corner, a fourth of that wall, and switch it out each time, it'd be just enough for that person that comes around that corner to see something different and possibly draw their eye to you. Even if you don't arrange the rest of it, keep that one corner moving.
It's funny you should mention that, because I know when I go into the thrift store on Monday, the two that I go to, I have a set pattern of where I go. And if I have a little bit of extra time, or I feel like I went a little too fast, I will go down the same aisles, but I go the opposite direction.
Yep. And you always see something
and I'll see something I didn't see. So that's probably good. That's very good advice, because you look at it from a different angle and you're going to see something.
Yep. Just walk it like you are a shopper. Most people come around and they come down this lane first and they walk in this direction first, and then look as soon as you turn that corner, whatever. What is it I see in my booth? How long has that thing been sitting there in my booth? Just use yourself as your shopper.
It seems like on our aisle, we have people going both directions, but mostly they're going from back to front. Because the way our mall is set up, you come straight in the door, and I don't know how to describe it. It's not on the front of the building. There's like a notch in the building. So when you walk in the door, you're walking parallel with the front of the store.
Yeah.
And the aisle inside the store across the entire front. So people come straight in and they usually just keep walking. Yeah. And then when they get to the end and they turn right and go down that aisle, they start going up and down. And then the last aisle is ours. They come up, and that's heading right toward the registers.
But see, we do get both directions, because how many people walk in and go, where's the restroom? So they walk right up to the
Yep.
register. Do you have a bathroom here? Where's it? And so they head down that way 1st.
Mm-hmm.
Or a lot. It's funny because most people do come in and walk that full length of the windows and down that first aisle. But there's some people that for some reason when they come in, they stand there, look around, and then head the opposite direction. First come down our
Isn't
aisle
that
first.
funny? See, if I shop somewhere more than twice, I have a method.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm an oddball in that. Maybe. Are you the same way?
No, I do.
Do
I
you find
do.
that too?
Yeah, and that's why I hate when they switch stuff around on me, because then I'm like, wait a minute. Now I have to walk a different way to find what I need.
That's funny too, because if I go and I tell my son we have to go grocery shopping, we have to stop at Aldi's. We'll be somewhere else, and then he'll say, "Why don't look? There's one right over here." I'm like, I don't know that store,
Yes.
and I don't care if it's closer right
Yep.
now. I'm going to save time driving all the way over to mine.
Yep.
Because
you
I know where
yours.
everything is.
There you go.
And if I go in there, I'm going to spend twice as much time because I don't know where anything is.
Yep. And then I still end up forgetting stuff because I'm like, do you have the so and so? It's usually it's over in the first aisle. It's like I am not walking all the way back around
Yeah.
that first aisle.
You know, any store that you come in and you go up and down the aisles and the last aisle doesn't take you to the front, they should be burned to the ground.
Well, we don't
Okay.
mean it seriously.
Yes, we're not advocating
Don't come back to us on that.
arson. No, I'm
No.
just saying it's really, really poorly designed.
Yes.
It's really
The
poorly
amount of
designed.
aisles to get you to where you need to go. I hate that last aisle, though, that one Aldi's I shop in. The last aisle, every time I end up going, okay, I'm not going to look at that side.
Yeah, you look at one side,
Because-
you go down, turn around, look
Yes.
at, yeah.
Because it's an odd amount of aisles.
Yeah, my Aldi is like that too.
I
now that I
just,
think about
yeah, I don't like that.
it. I go down, I look at the pasta sauce,
There you go.
and the bakery items, and then the cooler. Then I come up
Yep,
the other
there
side
you
that's
go.
got
The freezer.
all the frozen stuff. Yeah.
That's right.
So I don't know.
I know. I don't like it
mean,
either.
It's odd. Maybe that's just to keep us in the store longer.
I don't
When you go to the
know.
back and then you're wandering around, and then
You're like, where am I?
you got to go up another aisle a second time. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess the other thing we were talking about is something we've mentioned before. If your booth isn't clean or it's cluttered.
Yep. Things on the floor, people afraid to step in, afraid they're going to knock over something or trip over something.
Especially if it's in the winter and you got a coat on
Oh.
and you go in
yeah.
and there's glass everywhere. No. Or you have a purse over your shoulder.
Yep.
I don't trust myself
Yep.
to turn around and you hear something and you just freeze.
Yep. You're afraid to move because
Yeah.
did I knock something over?
So, I mean, that's, you have to consider that. And if it looks like you're not sweeping the floor, you're not taking care, things are thick with dust, or items that are coming in aren't clean, they're dirty, it's going to give that ugh feeling, and nobody's going to want to dig around
You know what
in
is
there.
so funny? I keep forgetting to tell you, but that just reminded me again. When we go into work for a day, right before they open the store, they call for everyone to come up front and they have a little meeting. And they go over anything that's important to know, any changes that have made, or, tell us about anything like when that guy tried to steal something. We always have a funny story. But the last couple times I've been in, they've done the same thing we just went over about, people bringing stuff in the store. And you might pass something alongside the road. It's garbage day, and you're like, wow, that's a great treasure. So you grab it and throw it in your car, and you're like, I'm already going up to my booth. I'll just take it in now. And you take it up there and give it a quick dust and hang a price sticker on it. He said, and then the customer comes in and they open up the drawer and they found mouse turds in it, he says. And I laughed.
Yeah.
And spider webs with the little egg sac balls hanging in it. He said it turns them off and they aren't going to want to buy it.
Yeah.
And he said, so just make sure, please, you clean it. So, it's not just us saying these things. Think about it yourself. You find something, you want that patina on it, but patina does not mean dirt, mud, filth, spiders.
And mouse poop.
And mouse poop. So, you just...
Well, you know what? By the time they start mentioning it at the morning meeting, it's
That's
a
bad.
recurring thing.
Yeah.
So it's one of those, it's not like, oh, once in a while this certain vendor, always has gross stuff on. I mean, when it gets to a point where they mention it at the morning meeting, it's happening with a little more frequency.
Yeah, and when you have a customer, because that's that really is a bad thing for a customer. And I've had customers come up and tell me things like that, or I won't, I just want you to know that this one's over here is I'm not going to do this because of that, or I went to pick this up and this and that and the other, or it's broken, or so customers, they don't like that, and they're going to let you know, and they're going to review your store online or anything else, and they're going to mention those kind of things.
Yeah, and you have to be careful because, I mean, we have over 100 vendors, and if you have, maybe one vendor that has a problem with that, or
Yeah.
two or three or five,
Yeah.
I mean, you don't want your whole store to be known as, things are,
No.
kind of rickety and dirty and smell funny
Mm-hmm.
and are gross and dirty. You don't want that. You don't want that reputation at all.
No, that's not the reputation you want to have.
Yeah. So that's definitely a problem. And like you said,
Yeah.
cluttered, if you're walking around and somebody's going to stub their toe, or if you have something delicate, you have it sitting on the floor, somebody's going to even accidentally kick it or break it.
Kids, yeah. Kids coming through.
Yeah. So, I mean, you have to keep that in mind because, people are messy. I know whenever we go in, we have our jewelry or our earring tree, our big display. We have it in a spot where it's not even on an end anymore because we had people bumping and knocking tons of them off. And there was like 5 pairs of earrings on the floor when I came in today. So,
Well, I don't know how anyone could accidentally knock stuff off of that spinner.
What are you saying? Oh, what I usually do is if I have any empty spots, I kind of move stuff down and fill it up from the bottom up, and then we put new stuff out. So I have a bag of earrings, and Kim, I don't know what it is, if it's your big hot dog fingers or what. She goes to hang up one pair and 3 fall on the ground.
That's it. I went to pick up the bag. She keeps a bag full of earrings to stock with, and it's kind of in the corner between the little shelf and the book spinner. And it's like, I don't know if I can get in here and reach this without. And sure enough, I was just pulling away and thought, yay, I did this without knocking anything off.
Is that what you said? You knocked something over and you go, that's okay, it was yours?
Yep.
What was that you knocked
It was
over?
one of those little ceramic signs that was hanging on the end of them.
Oh.
But I said, oh, don't worry, it was just yours. It didn't chip or anything, but
I
it wasn't
see
mine,
how it
so I was good.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, those I'm really easy to knock those off by accident. But since they've been moved, which I will admit at first I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna like it there, but it has been bumped less, so there's less cleanup on it.
Yeah. So we have our display shelf in the front that's metal and has the glass shelves. Then we have the spinner, and then behind that we have our fabric is on one side. On the other side we have books or purses and handbags and that kind of thing. So yeah, because we had that in the back where you'd make the U and the U shape in the aisle, and it would be on the end, and I mean constantly finding earrings just bumped. I mean, we're the kind of people that I don't go in a store to clean up, but if I knock something down, I'm going to pick it up. But I don't know. I think that's just because we've worked in retail before.
Yes.
So we have a respect for those poor individuals who have to work retail.
Well, and because we do this all the time too, I catch myself somewhere straightening up, or if there's an odd thing on the wrong hook, and I catch myself hanging things up properly. It's like, wait a minute, I don't work here. I'm not doing this for free.
Yep. But I mean, even in a thrift store, if there's something on the floor, I don't pick it up. If I knock something on the floor or a shirt comes off the hanger, I will pick it up.
Oh yeah, I pick up.
But I
clothes
mean,
all the time.
come on. It's just, I don't know. But, so that is some of the reasons why your sales might be slow. It's hard to think of when you're running a business or you have a space. It's hard to think critically about what you're selling or how much you're asking for it. But you have to really look at it critically and look at it from a customer's point of view.
Yep, take your emotions out of it.
Yeah, that's a big part of it, because you think everything I've picked out is beautiful and everything I've priced is a good price. And I know people have told us our prices are a little too low. But I know what I'm making I know what I bought an item for, and I know what I want to make out of it, and I don't want to I don't want to gouge people.
No, it's see, and that's one of those things we're going to cover in another is how to price. But again, if I can pick up something that's 50 cents or a dollar, but I look it up and this item is regularly, very easily selling for $20, I'm not going to do the third over or whatever. Well, I paid $1, so as long as I make at least twice that, oh, I'll bump it up to $3. No, I'm taking it up to that $30.
Yeah.
So that's those pricing strategies is something else we'll discover. But
Yeah, and it's funny because you really, if selling on eBay and selling in a physical space, the pricing, I do look up stuff on eBay to see should I sell it
Yeah.
on eBay, and
Yeah.
then if I decide, there's just too many on there, or it's not fetching a really high price,
Yep.
there's a whole different pricing strategy for our booth space than it is for eBay.
Yep.
So
Definitely.
yeah, it's something that we definitely need to cover because
just
I know people say to me, "What should I sell?
Yeah.
How should I price things?" It's like, holy cow, that's a lot.
Oh, yeah.
That's a lot to explain to somebody. They want
It
like
is.
a 3 sentence answer.
Yeah, it's like, okay, how many types of items do they sell at, say, Walmart or Target? So can you walk into that store and ask the manager, so what kind of stuff should I sell and what price? Well, there's too many things to
Yeah,
say that
there's
to.
not a hard and fast
No,
answer to that.
no.
So certainly that's a whole different situation.
And I don't mind helping people and giving them ideas. I mean, that's what we're on here for. But don't expect me to do all the work for you either.
Yeah.
That's a whole different story. You have to learn how to research the item. You have to try to figure out the value. If you do the research and then you come to me and say, well, what do you think? I found this, I looked at that, and then I can say, well, that wasn't a good place to look, or you should do this, or I would do that. But don't just walk up and expect us to hand you everything, because
Yeah.
I'm going to charge you a fee for that.
Yeah, and there's plenty of places
That's
and
right.
different Facebook groups that would be happy
Happy
to
to
do
help
that.
you, yes.
So
Even they complain about that, so.
yeah, and it's part of this business, a large part of it is research, knowing
Yes.
what something is. It's like somebody could say, "Oh, Pyrex sells wonderfully." Well, not certain colors, certain patterns. So it's not just, "Oh, get this item; it always sells well." I mean, there's just so much stuff out there that you can't. You have to
There's
learn
no
it as you
cut
go
and dried
along.
answer
Yeah.
for something.
So that's a big thing. And I hate when other vendors ask me, "What price would you put on this?" Because a few of the ones who ask me are the ones who ask sky high prices. So I'm afraid to
I
say
had
because they're
someone-
going to go,
I-
"Wow,
I know.
that's cheap."
I know I had someone recently do that to me, and I said, I kind of hate to say because you price things higher than I normally price. No, tell me. And I told him, and she looked
And did
at
you
me.
even go a little
I know,
higher just to
yeah.
kind of, smooth it out? It
Yeah,
was
and I
still
got
too
this
low.
look like, I said, see, I told
Yeah.
you we price lower than...
How about don't ask me anymore?
Yes, well, you know what? If you give them low enough answers, they won't ask you anymore.
$2, $2.50.
Well, especially when you're
Yeah.
bringing in something, it's a piece of furniture, and I'm not touching it, looking at it good.
Yeah.
It's like, well, it depends. That's really a lovely piece, but when you walk up on it,
Yeah.
what is it? Is it press board?
Another thing is too, you don't know what people paid for stuff.
Yes.
Because that in itself is going to, determine, pricing and such too. So, okay, well, we'll save that for another podcast. But I believe that is all we have for this podcast. Why are my sales slow?
Yeah, just don't give up. Just take some time when it's slow and just do some updating, research some stuff, reprice, clean it up.
And,
You'll be all right.
Be self-critical. Think of it this way. If you have somebody that's been in your mall forever, or someone who you really like their style or their pricing, you could even say, "Could you come over to my booth and look for a minute?" And, because, I don't know, my sales have been a little slow, and, is there any advice you could offer me? And most
Oh,
of the
yes.
people in our
Mm-hmm.
in our mall would love to
Yeah.
not have a problem at all to do that for you. So, in that instance,
Yep, we got a lot of good vendors there.
yeah. So, I mean, if you see someone that has a lot of sales or someone that just the way they arrange stuff is really awesome, or their prices, you see that they have a lot of sales. And this is kind of funny because in our mall, we have books in the office that they put the price tags in as things sell. So you can kind of look at their vendor number and glance at what their sales
I
are.
know. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but I still feel guilty about it sometimes.
Well, get over it. But I mean, it's just a chance for you to look at something and think, wow, what do they got going on? There are people who don't, I mean, they'll go a whole week without making a sale at all. And you have to kind of just think, why is that? Why is that the case?
Yeah.
So, and several of the people are people who were from the previous place who moved all their stuff. Like we said, it's night and day what sells. And they just picked up their stuff and set it in this new space and said, why am I not selling like I did over there?
Yeah.
And, that's the self-critical part has to come into play, that you just think, well, people just don't appreciate good stuff. Well, then you can take all your stuff home and appreciate it in your own house because you're not going to be selling anymore. So
if you're doing this for a business and you're doing it to make money, you have to go with what the demand is in the market. And if there's no demand for it, it's just going to sit there and get more dusty and more rusty. Oh, I made a rhyme.
Dusty and rusty.
Dusty and rusty.
Yeah, you gotta think about it critically because that's if it's not moving, there's a reason. And if it's something that's a continual thing, we've had a few vendors who continually say, well, I'm not doing real well. I don't know if I'm going to be able to stay next month. Well, I don't know if I'm going to be able to stay because I'm not selling a lot.
Yep, and that goes back to listening to one of our other ones. Should I close my booth?
Yeah. So, I mean, that's hard, like you said, Kim, to take the emotion out of it. Because this is an emotional business, and we buy things because we like them, and we have to kind of step out of that sometimes and buy stuff that we think is interesting, but it isn't necessarily our taste. And
that goes in so many fields. I'm doing some flowers for a wedding right now, and I went in looking for something today, and as I'm looking around, I'm like, oh. And then I thought to myself, wait a minute, you've got to remember you're not doing this for you. You're doing this for someone else. And if that's what they want, that's what they get.
Yep. If I want fluorescent pink flowers, and that's what you're going to do. No, not that that's what she's doing, but.
No fluorescent.
But I'm sure there's been times people have had color combinations, because you've done this before, that you're like, okay.
It's like, you really, really want that, huh? Okay.
Yep.
So, yep. Got to move your emotions.
Give them what they want.
That's right.
Okay, well, we'll wrap it up for tonight. We hope you enjoyed our podcast, Two Sisters, One Booth. If you have any questions or comments, you can leave them down below. If you want to send me an email, or you don't want your name mentioned but you have a question, you can email me, jen@pudgypicker.com. You can also follow me on Twitter under The Pudgy Picker. Please also like this video. Give it a thumbs up. Please, we're begging. And subscribe if you haven't, and you will get notifications if you press that little bell. It'll tell you when I put a new video up. So up right now, I'm doing 3 videos a week. Lucky you. So you will know the instant they are put up, and you can rush over, drop everything you're doing, and listen to us. Because what we have to say is important.
That's right. And this is easy to listen to because you don't have to look at us. You can go about and do other things. Clean your house or mow your grass. Yeah. And you can laugh.
Or you could drive a forklift.
I did that. Yeah, there you go. You just laugh as the neighbors are looking at you going, why is she over there laughing all by herself?
See, and that's funny because I listen, when I put the podcast up, I listen to it again, like before it goes up. And I laugh, we laugh, and then I laugh, and then my son, his desk is next to mine in the office, and he just looks at me and shakes his head and goes back to what he was doing, so.
We can't help it. We're so hilarious. I entertain myself all the time.
I like to listen to podcasts so I can price stuff to go out to the booth, or I can do research on eBay, I can have another screen open. Yeah, so even if you don't have a booth or you're not looking to expand your business in that way, you can still find some kind of information that you can use.
Basic information everyone can use.
Yeah. So that's all for this week. We will see you next time, or we won't see you, but
Hear you next
Yeah, we'll
time.
hear you next time. Okay, so signing off. Bye.
Bye.